Hi, friends and family. I just wrote on Facebook to let you know that I was going to do some live videos, but then it turns out you have to have 1,000 followers. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing and maybe even sharing, then I'll be able to go live and do questions and answers on travel, as well as I'll be doing some tarot card readings on travel and where it might be good for you to go next. Um, yes, just trying to get my thoughts straight because really I get so shy in front of the camera and yet I want to talk to everyone. Um, so welcome everybody. Welcome to my lounge. And I use my bed as well as my lounge chair for doing research and learning. I keep researching travel because it's on my mind so much. I think for the first year after getting back from Cambodia and Mexico, it took me about a year to feel like I got into my right mind again because I was waking up thinking I was in Cambodia. It's a strange sensation if you haven't been overseas for a length of time and then returned. It could be hard to get used to getting back into American life. There's the safety issue. There's so many guns in America, you sort of feel it, even though you don't see them. You feel it, and you hear about shootings, and you hear gunshots if you're in the city. So that took a while to get used to. Well, there are just a lot of things. Food, prices. I'm still in shock over the prices. But like I was just talking for about 3 hours yesterday trying to get some things sorted out with my internet service, and it's like, oh my gosh. In Cambodia, I would drive to a little place and pay $8 for the month, and I never had to worry about a bill because they just put it onto my SIM card. And it was easy to refill, as I recall. Anyway, $8 a month was pretty good. Now, I didn't have TV, but I had TV in most of the hotels where I stayed. Even if it was a $10 hotel, it usually had a TV. Well, there's just a lot of things. Like, I remember when I went to the airport and they were charging $9 for a beer. Actually, no, it was $9 for a bottle of water. Now, that was in the airport, granted, but I was used to paying 50 cents for a beer, or actually, I forget how much the water was, but it was very cheap, negligible. And I had a lot of very good $2 meals in Cambodia. It was a street where it was called the $2. I think it was just called $2 because it had so many restaurants with a similar menu where the right had the American or the English foods, and then the left side had Cambodian foods. And there were just so many meals for $2. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, mashed potatoes, veggies, and fish. It was just remarkably cheap. So coming back, yes, it's been quite the adjustment. So the reason I had gone anyway to be overseas was to retire on my income. As my children grew up, well, most of the time I was a single parent. And so what happened was I'd try to take jobs where there wasn't a lot of stress and I could get out in time to pick up my children from school and that sort of thing. And so I didn't really make a lot of money. So my income I knew was going to be pretty small from Social Security. So I just determined that since I love travel, that I would just travel overseas and stay there. There were a lot of family dynamics that made me feel like I didn't really want to live close to family, even though I love my family so much, each and every one of them. But there were reasons why I didn't feel comfortable being close to family. But then when my cancer came back for a second time, I was pretty sure I needed treatment of some kind. I had been in Cambodia and got an operation, but they couldn't get all the cancer out. It was a wonderful surgeon who had worked in the States and the Philippines for a long time, and he was a specialist in cancer. But they didn't have the medication there that I needed. There were two that I needed. One was an estrogen blocker, and one was chemotherapy, which I didn't realize I needed, but I knew that my arm was really hurting. I was having a lot of nerve pain coming down my arm, and it came on rather quickly. And I also had a rash on my chest, and I didn't know what that was. And I had two doctors in Cambodia telling me it was cancer. So I came home and stayed in Fresno with my sister and got into treatment and was in treatment for about 6 months. And then the year of the pandemic, 2020, about halfway through that year, I was astounded to find out that my cancer was gone. And I thought I was dying, and in fact, I did feel like I was dying, especially during my chemo treatment and even afterwards. But I think the combination of that plus the letrozole ended up shrinking the cancer, getting rid of it. I got out of a terrible pain I had had in my chest for a long time. Anyway, I didn't mean this to be all about me and my cancer, but what I'm saying is I'm alive, I'm living, I hope to have a much longer life, and I want to do some things with it. I have been working very hard on my own personal growth, my confidence, trying to figure out what I can do to really help other people. And one of the things I've been using as a tool is my cards, my tarot cards on personal growth. And so I'll be doing some sharing on that. And I also have a lot of ideas since I've now been to 45 countries and lived in many of them. Many ideas to share about travel, and if you want to go or if you still have an interest in going or ever did have, I can answer questions about that. So I want to go live, be able to do an interactive live videos so that I can answer people's questions, give readings, and just in general be there for people. Otherwise, it's just me talking like I talk to myself all the time anyway. But anyway, I want to share. I have been so introverted my whole life, and I really want to share and have people know who I really am, because I know some people have thought, because I grew up in the church, I loved the church so much. I went to the Congregational Church for a long, long time. And anyway, when I went away to college, I started investigating different philosophies and religions, and I came to realize that I'm really, I love Thoreau, and I love nature, and I have a strong feeling of connection to the earth, to animals, to other people, and I felt that there were a lot of things about religion that I didn't care for, such as when I went back to my church, people treated me terribly as if I had left the church when really I'd gone away to college. People just were very judgmental of me, and I thought, what is this? It seemed like the people that were wealthy were being treated differently and more kindly and were welcomed more than people that didn't have a lot of money. And I just didn't like that. So I ended up being drawn more to religions like Buddhism. I really call myself a deist, though I believe that the good in all of us is connected. We are all connected, and that good in us is a God essence. It's love. And what's important in this life is love, loving others. And I just want to share my ideas. Whether you agree with them or not, that's up to you, of course. But I believe in the Christian beliefs of treating others like we would want to be treated. And I guess I was afraid if I really came out and said something like, hey, I don't go to church anymore, that people from Porterville might judge me or something. But being from a small town, there's a lot of judgment there anyway, with people being interested in what you're doing. You know, gossip. And that was one reason I didn't end up going back to my hometown, as I felt oppressed by the thought of everyone knowing who you're dating. Being considered some sort of slut if you dated two people. I didn't feel comfortable living there. So I guess I'm more of a city person, as it turns out. Even though I love the country, I love the animals, I love so much about smaller places. And of course, the interactions of people between themselves. So anyway, when I went overseas, I would love to tell you sometime about my time in Thailand, living in a very tiny village. Very interesting times. But for now, I just want to ask if you would possibly share and subscribe so that I can eventually be able to go live on YouTube. I will see you soon. I'll upload this and I will talk with you soon. Bye. Everybody be well and happy